taxi driver that saved our marriage.
Prematurely aged myself.
Partner really
What? I don't know why the print programs. They're all tossed.
Chris, thank you for getting this all
Yep.
set up.
Our presenters here.
They are. Andrew wanted to flip through a slide.
Okay. And I got Dan first.
Yeah.
Okay.
I made that decision arbitrarily, so
Okay.
you don't have a decision. So that's cool.
I just wanted to have somebody else
what I like is
rather than Nate. Somebody in your
moments
office.
with Gilman is when there's a malfunction and Chris comes in like the Marines and
I keep saying I
kids
want,
give him a big ovation.
I want a tuxedo,
Yeah.
a zip line, and a James Bond theme on the side. So the zip line's in the booth over everybody down.
You don't want children throwing rose petals in front of your pad.
I also want you to travel with us. We've had more trouble at events on the road where we try to do AV stuff.
I know. They try to get me to do that too at some point. I say, well, you give it. Well, just like in my contract, I need a room, board master.
Your room, bottle of bourbon. Yep.
It's gonna be, it'll be mild. Promise. It is open.
Yeah, especially when we take out a couple seats for guests.
Yeah, we don't have enough seats to fit everybody. So you're slide 4 down.
Okay, thanks. And I'm wondering if did you use a clicker or?
No, we actually need you to stay at the podium for the recording.
Oh, okay.
So,
I do want to. Maybe I'll connect this to my keynote app, and I can connect it so that I can do that.
I can't hear, but if I put this right here, this is not an NSA bug,
Okay.
but I'll be able to hear
Noted.
everything. I'll be able to hear everything you say.
because the NSA probably already has like 3 ways to hear the saying it.
Bluetooth. Settings.
You owe me about 12 minutes of your time.
Okay, I'm good. I can't get it to connect, but you just want us to arrow through?
Yeah.
You want it at the top. Thank you.
do, I don't know, just essentials? 'Cause we got,
We'll do them at the end, since we're doing 10 roll after, so.
oh, that's right.
I'm excited for this. Yeah, I read the bios. Really? Probably, I'll do essential faculty now since faculty is pretty cool.
Why don't we go ahead and get rolling? All right, folks, we're going to go ahead and get started. Turn over the plan. All right, essential faculty. Take that now. Any essentials? That it? Great. Thanks, Quinn. And good morning. I know that it's the last Friday of the month. We talked about that yesterday. I appreciate you keeping your ties on for today's special event. And reminder that on Monday, I guess we'll have the end of the month dress down day on April Fool's Day, which might be appropriate anyway. So welcome to this year's annual H.K. Douglas Cotton Memorial Lecture. For those of you who've been in the upper school for a little while, you remember this lecture. It actually got snowed out last year, unfortunately, and we fortunately are able to have our speaker from last year join us today, so we're not missing out in that regard. But the lecture itself was established by Henry Kidd Douglas Cotton, excuse me. I mean, and the purpose of it, right, is to create a program for Gilman students to be exposed to the world of business outside of Gilman, to be exposed to people who are out in the world of business doing interesting things, and therefore might plant some seeds, some ideas for all of us as you head out from here into life beyond Gilman. We're very fortunate to have had this lecture for a long time now, and as always, certainly over the last few years, I want to thank representatives of H.K. Douglas Cotton family, in this case the Swindells. A lot of you know the Swindells from their sons who've been coming through Gilman over the years, and it's always great to have the Swindell family with us for this event. So thanks for joining us. Good to have you here. We have two speakers today. I think you're going to be really interested, one in their biographies and two what they have to say. So without further ado, we're going to start. And I'd also, actually before I do that, I would want to say both of our speakers today have several family and friends in the audience with us, and a special welcome to all of you as well. Thanks for joining us today, and it's good to have you at Gilman as always. So, without further ado, I'm going to introduce our first speaker for today's Cotton Lecture is Mr. Dan Diamond from Gilman class of 1998. So Dan Diamond, class of 98, is a reporter for Politico, where he covers healthcare politics and policy in the Trump administration and Congress. Dan's work resulted in the resignation of Health Secretary Tom Price in 2017 and since then he's broken some of the biggest healthcare stories of the past few years. You may have heard him on NPR, seen him on CNN with Anderson Cooper, or read his award-winning work about hospitals like Johns Hopkins. Dan earned his BA in history from University of Pennsylvania. I guess we class of 02 from the University of Pennsylvania, but he got his journalism start here at Gilman, where he was the managing editor of our very own Gilman News. So without further ado, welcome back, Dan Diamond.
Thank you, Headmaster, faculty, family, friends. It's an honor and delight to be here at this assembly, which is something I definitely did not say about assembly when I was at Gilman. I was always trying to figure out how to use Nurse Classen. I don't know if she's still here, but use the nurse's office and take a nap during assembly. I don't know if students still try that trick. That's meant as a joke. Actually, it's a compliment. All of you who are here, you are more on top of things as students than I was when I was at Gilman.
Not true.
To prepare for today, I went back and I watched some old Cotton lectures where alums talk about the work they do, maybe brag about their jobs a little bit. I thought rather than starting by talking about my job, I would let someone else describe my work to you. So here I am. That was Sarah Sanders, White House press secretary. As you may have guessed, the story she was referencing was a story that I wrote in Politico, a scoop that the White House was going to cut a key office. Now, what you need to know is that in my world, the White House press briefing, it's like Game of Thrones. It is a must-watch. It's on every TV in our newsroom. It's on the bank of TVs over our heads. It's in other newsrooms. It's in airports. Everyone I know in my world is watching. So when Sarah Sanders says, "Don't trust Politico as a source," let me tell you what happens when the White House calls you fake news on national TV. First, every head in the newsroom pops up and swivels like prairie dogs, staring at the reporter who's put the entire newsroom in this position. Then my friends at other news outlets, like the Washington Post, started texting me. It was like I had died and I didn't know it. Friends said, I'm sorry about what happened to you today. Do you need anyone to take care of things at your house? And third, you just start wondering as a reporter, did I get something wrong? Does the White House know something that I didn't? Am I fake news? And within 30 seconds, I remembered, no, I've got the documents right here proving my story. And regardless of what Sarah Sanders said, the New York Times, the Wall Street Journal, USA Today, even the Trump administration, when they finally released their budget document, they all said the story was true. The Trump administration was going to cut this office. It's a very unusual time to do what I do, be a reporter in Washington, D.C., covering politics. I'm glad to share a little bit with you today. But first, a show of hands. Who here has heard of Politico? Just a show of hands. Who hasn't heard of Politico? Okay, so maybe like 30%. Who here trusts Politico? Even fewer people, 20%. Good to know what I'm working with. My task is tall today. I realize the chances are low that many of you will become reporters. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe this will be the greatest career speech in history and all of you will go work for the Baltimore Sun after this. But regardless of what you do in your lives professionally, you will be news consumers. You'll be reading the news. You'll be seeing the news. You'll be interacting with it in some way. And I think in this environment, where folks like Sarah Sanders call our work fake news, where there are good reasons to be skeptical of the media, you are right to be skeptical. It's important for me to be as transparent as possible about what I do and how it's done. Politico is exactly what it sounds like from the name. We focus on politics and policy. My job is to break news about healthcare specifically, mostly the Trump administration and Congress. That's my beat. Sometimes I do that by simply asking lawmakers, hey, what do you think about the Affordable Care Act? It can be that simple. Other times I'm sitting, looking at a computer screen at 2 in the morning, reading some government reports, trying to find the thread of a story, some buried fact. And there are other times where I'm just talking to confidential sources. Maybe I'm meeting them in a parking lot to get sensitive information. And usually it's some combination of all those different tactics that lead to the stories that we do. My job isn't to settle scores. It's not to attack the White House. It's to do whatever I can to get the story ethically and responsibly. It's to do the work of informing the American people of what's happening in Washington, to shine light on dark corners. Sometimes that's led to major consequences, like a cabinet secretary resigning, like a policy being changed, or most importantly, like helping protect the weakest and sickest among us who don't always have a voice and can get steamrolled because they don't have power when the rules change on them. The job of a reporter, especially at a place like Politico, it swings wildly between glamour and drudgery. Some of the glamour is easy to see. The headmaster mentioned I was on CNN with Anderson Cooper. This week I got invited on MSNBC to talk about some of the big healthcare stories. I can call up and talk to the decision makers in the U.S. government, and it's totally normal. I sat down this week with a senator for 30 minutes, and his team set up the meeting. They wanted to pitch me, have the senator talk to me about his ideas. And I've had Stephen Colbert and Saturday Night Live make jokes, positive jokes, complimentary jokes about my reporting. They've used it for skits. I've had anchors on Fox News use the stories in complimentary ways and say, look, Trump administration, we need you to explain this to us. But the drudgery of being a reporter, folks usually don't get to see that. The MSNBC folks who called me this week, I said, I can't go on. I hadn't gotten a haircut. I looked like a sheepdog at the time. I mean, this is a fresh fade. I don't know if kids still say that today, but that senator I met, I had to cram in the car on the way to interview him. That's no way for anyone to responsibly meet a senator. But that's essentially what I have to do. I have to find every little moment I can. And nearly every night this week, I was up until 4 a.m., 5 a.m., working on stories, working on investigations. It isn't easy to develop confidential sources. That takes time. Meeting people in parking lots isn't easy. Sometimes it takes a while to get to that parking lot. I blow off my friends. I barely see my wife. I eat terribly. I barely exercise. And yet being a reporter can be the greatest job because I can see the world, and then I can see the world just shift a little bit based on an investigation that I've done, that my colleagues have done, that Congress is holding a hearing based on our story. It's exhausting and lonely to be a reporter, but it's also addictive as hell. It's awesome. Since this is supposed to be a career speech, I want to offer a little bit of advice. First, to those of you who want to be reporters, or writers too, and you might want to know how do you get this sort of gig, there is no right path other than to just make sure you're writing, whether for the Gilman News, for your college paper, starting something on the side. I worked in a totally different career as a consultant before going to Politico. Some of my colleagues have been in journalism for 40 years. In the newsroom, we're all equal. As long as you're writing, you will be part of the mix. You will be discovered. Second, no matter what you want to do, whether it's a reporter, work on Wall Street, something totally different, the secret is to put yourself out there. It doesn't matter if you're a brilliant writer, or rapper, or composer, or maybe you've got a great business idea. The more you keep it up here and don't let the world see it, because you don't think it's good enough, maybe you don't think it'll be trusted, it's self-fulfilling. The world needs to see you and hear from you. And as my mom would always say to me, when you are brave, powerful forces come to your aid. And I've seen that in my reporting, and I've seen that in my friends' careers. And last piece of advice, I just want to share some wisdom that I got from Mr. Kumar, Shanti Kumar, who I know is here somewhere. He's hiding. Maybe he's not sure what I'm going to say, but it's positive. He was my 8th grade history teacher. He was really, really good at a couple of things. 2 of them I remember to this day. One, really, really good at drawing circles. We would call the Kumarian circle, like, yeah, do it on the chalkboard all the time. It was very impressive. They were like perfect circles. But also, he would teach us to think critically. He would hold up the cover of the Baltimore Sun and say, why is the story on the front page of the Baltimore Sun? How do they get it? Who stands to gain from the story? Those are the right questions to ask. I ask them all the time in my job. You should be asking them too when you are reading and consuming the news. The media gets it wrong. We do. We don't want to, but it happens. Many publications are quite good, but being skeptical is a key part of my job. It should be part of your job when you're thinking about the news as well. Before I wrap up, I just wanted to say this. I once sat where you guys do, which means that some of you one day will stand where I am, talking to the Gilman students of the future, assuming the cycle continues. I want to give you a window into what I've learned and what it means to be part of the Gilman tradition. I come back here with great pride that Gilman thought I had something worthy to say to the students, and that my parents, who put my education first as a priority, that they can see me stand up here and say that. So thank you, parents. I come back with an incredible wife. This fact alone is truly incredible, considering that when I was at Gilman, I barely knew what a girl was, let alone how to talk to them. And yet I ended up with the best one. So it's funny how that works out. And I... It's true. It's true. Happy to say it. She might be embarrassed by that. And I come back reflective, because I'm sure there are some alums who return to Gilman, and they say this was the greatest years of their life, that they never did anything better than what they did at Gilman. Not quite true for me. When I was at Gilman, I was a mediocre athlete. My best sport was running. But I never made varsity track or cross country. And the last race I ran, JV track, I finished dead last in the mile at the MIA Championships. I wasn't the best student. Nearly all of my friends were cum laude. They knew they were going to the best colleges. Not me. I was really good at not turning in my homework. There was a time when we were about to go take a family trip, I think it was to France, and the religion teacher called up my dad and said, Dan didn't turn in his paper. So that night I had to crash on a paper before we flew out the next morning. Dad remembers that. We've already covered my track record with girls. The one thing I could do was write, and even that wasn't a sure thing. I was not editor-in-chief of the Gilman News. I was managing editor. My friend got the job. Kind of a legacy thing. His brother had been editor-in-chief before. But regardless, I say these things not because I'm hung up on them 20 years later. That would be crazy to think about the race I ran like all the time, or the Gilman News. As much as I loved the Gilman News, as much as that race mattered to me, I have moved on. But I say it because I know what it's like to disappoint your parents or disappoint yourself. And you know what? It's okay. The world keeps turning. Things keep moving forward. You just learn and try harder. That was one of Gilman's best lessons to me. And it's something I do think about every day in my job as a reporter. Maggie Haberman of the New York Times wrote a front page story yesterday on Donald Trump and the Affordable Care Act and a big decision he made this week that you may have heard about to oppose the law, call for it to be shut down. That's my beat. She stole that story out from under me. She won the morning. But the beauty of what I do is that I can win a few hours later or the next day. And today, my colleague and I broke a story about how a top Trump appointee is steering millions of dollars to communications consultants. Democrats have already called for an investigation as we're walking in to this room. When the speech is done, I'll go see how the world is reacting to that. I'll see if we won the morning today. But to be honest, the biggest victory is just getting to come back to Gilman today. This is special. Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks, Dan. It's great to have you back, and you're right, the world does keep turning, and it turns better probably because of your work, so thank you. Guys, come on in, grab seats. So after our next speaker, depending on time, we'll probably have time for some some Q&A with both men. So if you have questions, save them and we'll get to them. We'll get to them at the end. For now, I want to introduce and welcome back to Gilman Andrew Shapiro from the class of 2001. Andrew Shapiro is a designer who most recently worked as a creative director for the popular travel platform Airbnb, which many of you probably heard of. During his time there, Andrew led a variety of instrumental projects, including the company's rebrand in 2014, which won awards and started a global conversation. Since the rebrand, Airbnb's footprint has grown to over 6 million homes in 191 countries and thousands of hosted experiences. Before joining Airbnb, Andrew worked as a designer at Ashton Design, Chronicle Books, and Tomorrow Partners. He's a 2005 graduate of Davidson College with a BA in Art History, and he currently resides in San Francisco. He serves on the board of directors for Villa Verde, which is a nonprofit providing outdoor education opportunities to students from disadvantaged communities, and he also serves on the Calvert School Alumni Board of Governors. Andrew, I'm not sure where you are. There you go. Okay, Andrew, welcome back to Gilman. The podium is yours.
Good morning. It's an honor to be here. It's an honor to share the stage with Dan Diamond from Politico. Thanks also to the Kaufman and Swindell families for making this possible. As Henry mentioned, I graduated from Gilman 18 years ago. You don't want to see that again?
She has something to say about
She was going to tell you about my career, too. 18 years ago, in 2001, for some context, that's a few months after this guy started as president, smartphones looked like this, Cary Hall looked like this, and the New York City skyline looked like this. Seems like forever ago. But it's not so long ago that I forget what it's like to be in your seats. I remember working on the layout for the blue and the gray. I was on the opposite side of the news organizations at Gilman as Dan, working on layout for the blue and the gray in the middle school, working on the yearbook team in upper school, and also helping to lay out every issue of the upper school news, which was a newsletter that went out to parents at the time. Senior year, I got the chance to design a set for the spring musical. It's called Once Upon a Mattress. And I tended to spend my free time on the top floor of Cary Hall, where the art room, the yearbook office, and the writing center formed pillars of a creative refuge. Betsy Heisler was the upper school art teacher at the time. She's here today, and she was my advisor. She coined the term the Gilman Art Man, and I still have my Art Man badge as of today. But I actually struggled during my time here at Gilman. You see, the thing that I remember the most about being in your seats was a feeling of intense pressure. Pressure to follow in the footsteps of my older siblings, pressure to succeed, to get good grades, get into a great college, pressure to live a certain kind of lifestyle. It didn't feel okay to be different. I spent more time thinking about who I should be rather than who I was. I spent more time focused on the things that I should do instead of the things that I enjoyed doing. I loved making things, but I didn't see people around me who had creative professions. I didn't see a future in it as a career. And that all changed for me before my senior year at Davidson College. I enrolled in my first design class in New York at the Parsons School of Design. And the people that I met there opened my ideas to a world of possibilities in design. I began to understand that people make careers out of designing the spaces and the products and the brands that are part of our world. I started to connect the dots between the things that I liked to do and a possible career. And in the 14 years since then, I've had the chance to work on different projects, from designing books to advertising campaigns to contributing even to the signs that you see around Gilman's campus. And half of that time, half of my career, has been working at Airbnb. For those of you who don't know, Airbnb is an online platform, and it's a community of locals who are willing to offer a place to stay and experiences when you travel. But I suspect some of you do know what Airbnb is. So I'd like to see a show of hands of people who have stayed in an Airbnb. That's pretty good. But keep your hands up if you stayed in an Airbnb over spring break. Just a few. All right. So those of you who raised your hands are actually amongst 500 million people who have stayed in Airbnbs in the 10 years the company has existed. Airbnb has over 6 million homes in more than 190 countries today. That's bigger than any hotel chain. So it's kind of hard to believe that when I joined Airbnb 7 years ago, most people didn't know what it was. This is what the logo looked like, and a lot of people couldn't pronounce the name. The idea was still new, and in the press, faced a lot of scrutiny. A lot of people asked, is it safe to stay in somebody else's home? What about my valuables? What about my privacy? People asked, is it safe to welcome people into my home? The conversation was more about people than it was about places. So we sought out to shape the way the world sees Airbnb as a global community built on trust, where strangers can become friends, where your kitchen table can become like a miniature United Nations. We knew that what we offered could extend beyond just a place to stay. We knew that Airbnb could become the homepage for travel. And we wanted to build a culture for our employees that reflects Airbnb's core values and is unlike any place in the world. As a designer, my job is shaping the relationships that people have with the world around them. At Airbnb, I had the opportunity to create experiences for employees who came to work every day, for hosts who opened their homes on Airbnb, and for the guests who stayed with them, and even for people who were just learning about Airbnb for the first time. I worked closely with Airbnb's founders, particularly two of them who are also designers, the Chief Product Officer and our CEO. And despite those fancy titles, they had hardly any career experience before starting Airbnb. And they used that to their advantage. They constantly talked about rewriting the rule book. You see, for us, we were creating something new. The opportunities were vast, and instead of feeling overwhelmed, we looked for creative solutions to the challenges that we were taking on. For example, Brian, who's on the right in this photo, is our CEO, and he found inspiration in Walt Disney's biography. It turns out that the movie Snow White is the first movie to have been storyboarded or sketched frame by frame from start to finish. And so Brian went out and hired an animator from Pixar, and together they actually sketched out the Airbnb experience frame by frame for people that were traveling and people that were hosting on Airbnb. And we called our storyboard Snow White. And we used it to scrutinize every moment of the journey and to look for new opportunities. Snow White still shapes what Airbnb is today. And I was amazed to see Airbnb use design tools like storyboarding to tackle business challenges. That felt fresh, felt unexpected, and it was completely unlike any place I've ever been before. Over the years, I've learned that working really hard is within my own control, and it can have payoff. I probably worked harder than I should have. In fact, in the first few years at Airbnb, I pulled more all-nighters than I think I ever had in my life before, including Gilman. But the hard work did pay off. For one, it allowed me to build a team and take on bigger projects. We brought on designers to work on campaigns, printed materials, merchandise, photo art directors who would art direct photo shoots, filmmakers to capture stories of Airbnb hosts and guests around the world, even architects and interior designers who would work on our offices, event spaces, and even in partnership with Airbnb hosts on how they design their homes. We named the team the art department. And a few years ago, when we moved into our headquarters in San Francisco, which Henry has been to, actually, for breakfast last year, the art department helped design our office space so that it exhibits the Airbnb brand. throughout your day at work, you can walk around and see that the meeting rooms are exact replicas of Airbnb homes. So you can move from Bali to Brazil to, in this case, Portici, Italy. And it kind of reminds me of designing that theater set at Gilman so many years ago. The walls of the office come to life with portraits of Airbnb hosts, and each one has a story. And the host you see on the left here is a host in Vancouver, and she actually helped guests who were hospitalized during their trip to Vancouver. She helped them recover. And McKean even got to set up a workshop. We called it Common Studio. And this was a space with a 3D printer with screen printing materials and other supplies for experimentation and for hands-on making. The hard work early on also put me in a position to have a bigger impact with the company and with the Airbnb brand. You see, internally, we talked about a community of people who were hosting in their homes and traveling around the world on Airbnb. Internally, we shared powerful stories of people whose lives had actually changed because of Airbnb. But people on the outside of the company really just saw Airbnb as a website with a bunch of pictures of empty homes. And as the Airbnb brand expanded around the world, we wanted people to understand us as what we knew we were, a community. We wanted to shift perspective. And I was able to lead an effort to rebrand Airbnb and reflect how we wanted the world to know us. The result of that rebranding was a clear mission statement that guides everything Airbnb does. Airbnb exists to create a world where anyone can belong anywhere. The result was a logo, and it's a logo that reflects what's most important to Airbnb. It's a symbol that the community can take ownership of, and it's a symbol that can become the international symbol of belonging. The results were new visuals that reflected not just homes, but stories of people in our community and the spaces and experiences that they offer. Rebranding Airbnb was the ultimate journey. The work unleashed new passion in my colleagues and in the broader community. And it required an all-hands-on-deck approach to be successful. It kind of reminded me of those early days. You see, when I joined Airbnb, the team was small. I knew all of my colleagues' names. But as the community grew, so did the company, from 300 employees to over 6,000 employees in more than 30 offices around the world. And a few years ago, I found myself leading a team of 40 creatives across San Francisco, London, and Singapore. I was traveling a lot, I was in meetings all the time, but I felt disconnected from the people, from my team, from the work. I missed building things from the ground up. I missed that pace that we worked at in the early days. I missed knowing everybody's name. Airbnb had become the Navy, but I wasn't interested in becoming a captain. I still wanted to be a pirate. And so for a few years, I sought out opportunities to be a pirate within Airbnb. I built new offerings like Airbnb Experiences. I helped shape the company's culture and core values as Airbnb grew. I helped to prototype and test new ideas for the future of Airbnb. But over time, it became clear that I wasn't learning and growing as much as I wanted to. The challenges felt less exciting to me. Don't get me wrong, Airbnb is an amazing, amazing place to work. But for me, it became a place I felt I should be every day, and not a place that I wanted to be. So I decided to leave Airbnb this past January, to set out on open waters and build new things as a pirate again. And since then, I found projects that are challenging me in new ways and teaching me new things. So this is a new chapter in my journey, and it's kind of an interesting time to be here and reflect back. Because the last time that I was in this room, I didn't know what design was. Design didn't come up at the dinner table. I didn't know any designers. I wasn't thinking about what it took to create the spaces and the products and the brands that shaped my world at that time. And now, I can't stop thinking about those things. I had no idea that the things that I love the most at Gilman were the beginning of a career that's been creative and fulfilling and rewarding. And you all have a lot more tools at your fingertips than I did to explore, experiment, and test your own ideas. So I encourage you to use them to learn about yourselves. Pay attention to the things that you love and the things that make you, you. Know yourself and be kind to yourself, and find success in who you want to be. Thank you.
Andrew, thank you. Dan, thank you. We've got a little bit of time, I think, for questions. So, guys, if you have questions, remember to introduce yourselves, and here we go. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so that question was from Nicholas. I didn't get your last name either, but my job as a reporter, I can't necessarily weigh in on the politics of something being good or bad. I will tell you because I've talked to experts here. Single-payer healthcare is an idea that lots of people like in theory. The issue is that the plans that have been put forward are either not fully thought out on how they would work, how they be paid for, or what would happen in like the transition time between the healthcare system that we have now and this other healthcare system. So there are a lot of people I talk to, including folks who work for President Obama, who say we like this, but we don't see the roadmap quite yet. I'd be happy to talk about it more after assembly too, if you want.
No. The short answer is no. I didn't know. And I did start to understand what design was. I always thought design meant architecture. I didn't realize there were so many different facets to it. And it required, I went to Davidson College, and Davidson only has 20 majors or so. There's no design major. And so it really required going out and taking classes outside of school to explore and learn about the different areas of design and then hone in. And to be honest, I really tried to pursue architecture at first, and I didn't like it. And I talked to an old teacher who said, stop beating yourself over the head with architecture. If you don't love it, do what you love. And it seems like he liked graphic design. And that piece of advice really stuck with me.
Sure. So that question was from Daniel, and it was, what important thing did Gilman teach us for our adult lives? It's hard to think of just one thing, but I would say that what I prized most about Gilman was the commitment to being good, essentially. When I was here, there was a theme for my senior year. You might remember because you were a couple years behind me. Arch Montgomery, headmaster at the time, he said civility. Civility was going to be kind of the watchword at Gilman. I was like, civility, what is that? The idea of just being nice to people, of putting yourself in like that To Kill a Mockingbird way, put yourself in the other person's shoes. And I think about that a lot because the older I get, the more we all kind of get in our own heads. We forget that other people are on their own paths. As a reporter, I always try and think about what brought this person on this path to me. So I'm grateful to Gilman for creating an environment where that was prized.
I think the only thing I'll add is related to that, which is that when you work in-house at a company, whether it's Airbnb or any number of companies, you're working with different kinds of people. I think that's kind of a key, whether you choose to be a lawyer or in finance. You're going to have the choice to work in a law firm or in-house. And I love working in-house because I get to work with different kinds of people with different skill sets. And that, to me, came from Gilman, the ability to actually get to be on teams with different kinds of people and learn how to work with different kinds of people. So that's kind of chalks up the civility too.
That is such a great question. So essentially, what skills should folks today be developing, should guys today be developing for jobs in the future, especially in fields like ours? And my field is getting hit hard. It is not boom times for a lot of journalists. There are reporters who have lost their places of work, newspapers have shut down. And what I've seen is that folks who are able to adapt to kind of thinking laterally, not just thinking kind of straight ahead, but okay, I saw this thing online, I'm able to connect that to this thing that I heard on cable news. Kind of have to think in the moment more than maybe you did 5 or 10 years ago, just because the pace of news has gotten a lot faster. I don't know how Gilman courses are currently taught, but one thing that I really appreciated was when we would have like team ups, team projects on things, and you kind of have to work quickly and think collaboratively among a bunch of folks. That's something that's also very useful in a newsroom.
I think it's a good question. I didn't go to design school, so I had to learn a lot on the job, and that required a lot of hard work. And so I mentioned that in my talk, but working really hard, people notice it, and it pays off. And then I'd also say putting big ideas on the table is always important. People want to hear big ideas, and then they want to see that you can actually work hard to see those ideas through into fruition. So hard work, having big ideas, big creative ideas, and being able to actually be reliable and see those ideas through to kind of the final step.
All right, gentlemen, thank you. So, to Dan Diamond, Andrew Shapiro, family and friends, and the Swindells, on behalf of everybody here at Gilman, thanks for being with us, and thanks for your words of wisdom and experience. Great to have you here.
All right, so thank you, our two speakers, our faculty, and our guests. You all can head out now. Students, we got to stay for the